Welcome to Inside Sim Racing. I'm Sean Cole with my good buddy,
Darren Ganji.
And this week, Inside Sim Racing is sponsored by IRacing.com, where you can get 3 months for the price of 1 by clicking on the banner at our website and joining up now. And this week, there is no bigger story than Gran Turismo 6, and that's what this show is going to be all about. But before we get to that, we do want to cover some other top stories from sim racing, and that does start with iRacing. And next week, Darren and I have a unique opportunity where we're actually going to go to North Carolina to the Nascar Hall of Fame and get to take part, meet NASCAR iRacing champion Tyler Hudson.
Yeah, Tyler's going to be there. I've been racing against Tyler for years. By the way, I've been like Silent Bob in this episode so far.
And I'll go ahead and talk about that right now. Darren's working on Gran Turismo 6, the grind as some people might put it. So we got so much to do there. We're working while we're working. Anyway, we are going to that NASCAR Hall of Fame, going to get to race against some NASCAR stars from the local area there, going to get to run against some media people, going to get to see Tyler, the NASCAR iRacing champion, and that should be a pretty cool story.
We may be even getting a behind-the-scenes tour.
I would love to do that. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to get to do some racing. We're going to get to be big NASCAR fans for the weekend, and that'll be pretty cool. And beyond that, a few other things we want to talk about. Assetto Corsa, actually today as we're filming, this show will be out in a couple days from now, they actually have their next patch or release or update, whatever you want to call it, to the sim. And that includes another 3 cars. You got a McLaren, a couple of Lotuses. You've got 2 new tracks, including a new drift track. So Assetto, as
another new
promised,
drift track? That was a drift track 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, exactly. So now you've got 2 of those. So you can see they're putting some focus in that direction. But
so wait, now let's talk about the last update.
My test drives?
Yeah, and the P45
competition. I don't know, something like that. You know, that's something we should talk about. I actually did that video. You know, we try to give you little tidbits of information, make it a little bit more entertaining, but we're not. I'm a car lover, not a car aficionado. No, I'm even aficionado. I'm just not a super knowledgeable everything about every car. We try to give you as much information. Anyway, apparently there are 2 of those cars, and the one that's the P4, P5 is the one I talked about in terms of being related to an Enzo Ferrari, and I believe the competition model is actually related to a 430 Scuderia. Anyway, don't quote me on that, but again, this is sort of like, we're not Clarkson and Hammond here. You know, we love cars, but we don't know everything about them like those guys. And if those guys tried to cover sim racing, I'm sure they have no idea what wheel we're using here today. So anyway, that's everything with Assetto. If you haven't checked it out,
cool, I mean, if they did.
They are building up their content, and it's coming along, and that's pretty good. And other than Gran Turismo, I think that's about it. And now we really do want to move into Gran Turismo. In fact, before we move on, I do want to mention one other thing. You might notice we use multiple camera angles around here. And right now I'm looking at this camera and it's beautiful color and that's wonderful. When I look over here, we've got this huge red glare. And that's because we set...
Or yellow sometimes, depending on the game.
And if we do any correction. That's because usually if we're focused on the game, if we're talking about a sim, we set at least one of the cameras up to get you the best capture possible. And then we've got this camera for the best environmental picture ever. And if we were covering the wheel, for example, we'd probably have both cameras set to a clear color for shooting the wheel. Anyway, that kind of gives you an explanation as to what we're doing here. And it is back to Gran Turismo 6. And another thing I want to talk about a little bit, we did do our first hour. And I think some people got the impression that we were a little even let down, perhaps. And maybe we were to an extent. But
it was a little lackluster. The first hour of Gran Turismo, if we're going to compare it to Forza 5, I mean, because all those comparisons are going to be happening. And Forza 5 was Clarkson and Hammond. You mentioned that, you know, Clarkson mainly, and that whole thing about cars and that. And Gran Turismo lacked that.
Yeah, and their intro, honestly, just was some game footage. It looked like something that I could have knocked out pretty quickly for them.
Now, that was for us. Anybody that now has got the game, you didn't see the same intro that we saw.
Exactly.
How intrigued were you by
the new intro?
Why don't we
play
go ahead
that?
And
fire it up.
We were talking about firing that up while we were talking here.
And
I just got through that race, so.
And that takes us to some of the big news, which is that the day 1 patch, the patch 101, the day 1 patch, is going to be out so that, well, it's out. And that updated the intro. And honestly, I think that would have changed the whole build-up when we started up the game, or sim. And then from there it goes to something else I want to talk about before we get into the details of the patch and some of our thoughts on Gran Turismo, actually. But the opening part of the game is made to accommodate somebody who's never driven before and never played the series before. Now, if you're a lover of Gran Turismo or Forza or sim racing in general, yeah, it's starting you off at the slowest, most dreadful car possible, and it's just going to be boring to anybody who knows the track they're on or knows the combination, and there's just no getting around that, I think. I mean, if you think of a war game, a shooter game, it's like they don't put you in the middle of a battle and have you just get blown up. They've got to educate new players, and I think that's part of it. Unfortunately, as a veteran sim racer, it means it can be a little touchy boring.
So the new intro is post-patch. There was 2 patches, so Sean's going to tell you guys a little bit about that. But someone had mentioned in the comments of our first hour that, you know, how would you like it if they put you in something that you can't handle? You know, the fit is a good way to get a feel for everything, especially if you're trying things for the first time with a wheel. You know, it really helps you get a feel for how Gran Turismo feels. And so, although we don't like the fit and it made us spend our precious money, I really take those credits seriously.
Yeah.
I'm up to 6. I don't like the number. I'm up to 6666 anyway.
And I don't want to have to buy 1 million credits either. We'll get to that.
No, yeah, we're no microtransactions for us. Yeah, that was, the guy brought up a good point. You know, because honestly, go back and watch our Forza 5, and you know, after we ran the McLaren, you know, with all steering aids, braking aids on, you know, we're driving that Hyundai, which was a handful.
Yeah.
And Forza 5's tire model is a lot tougher to me than Gran Turismo 6. We don't want to make comparisons because this is more about Gran Turismo 6 now. But it's easy to compare because there's, you know, we've just played both of them. I jumped back and forth between Forza 5 last night and this, and I'm loving, honestly, I'll just put this out there, I'm loving both equally. So, anyway.
And maybe for some different reasons, and we'll get to that when we do our big comparison. So, why don't you get back to the grind? I'm going to kind of talk about the day 1 patch, the patches that have come along, and a few things that you're going to want to know about. But this is all happening right now, and obviously the intro, which we talked about. The other thing, they're going to open up the lobby. So, you're now going to have that online section of the My Home screen, and you're going to be able to do online races, which has been locked until now. So as we've been playing the game in advance of release, we couldn't do that part of the game.
Yeah, which actually you know what, I'm going to go race the karts. And which I'm trying to unlock right now. I have to get 20 stars. So do you like the star system? Let's talk about that real quick.
I'm a huge fan of stars and trophies. I mean, it's the kind of thing that when
I dig them too. There was some complaints. I mean, we play a lot of Rock Band and Guitar Hero, and there's like a whole star system there. Or, you know, I like it. I need 20 stars to go do my National A license, which I can't even unlock the online stuff until I do that, which is kind of cool.
Exactly, and that's when you get your National A license. That's when you're going to get the online lobby opened up. The thing for me on the stars, I'm a little obsessive compulsive. So when you give me a trophy or star-based game, I cannot move on unless I've gotten all
3 stars.
Of the stars.
Well, you know what though? Gran Turismo rewards you for that.
You win prizes.
You got a big old present.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll be getting one here soon. Most of my cars are all 1. I don't think I've bought much since hour 1.
Right. Well, and that's one thing. If you go through the grind, you're not going to have to spend a lot of that money because you actually kind of win cars. And in general, so far at least, they're kind of in the progression of the game. So we've been able to win cars that helped us in the next events. Like I won the kart and didn't have to buy the kart.
Which is what I'm running right now.
Event.
Did you drive? I drove the kart at your...
I haven't driven it yet. It sounded fun.
And I'm driving it again. Someone said... Here's another comment. Someone said controller sensitivity made a difference. In this. I thought this was, so I'm going to try it right now. I'm going to see if it makes a difference.
All right.
I thought that was mainly for joypads.
I haven't even seen this.
You were in the other room when I was racing this the other day.
Anyway, other things that are coming along are within the game. Seasonal events. So if you remember from the previous Gran Turismo, seasonal events were something that I really loved because instead of being part of the chronological career mode, these were very similar in terms of the types of races, but they're predetermined by Sony or by Gran Turismo, and they would be a certain car track combination, and then you'd have a leaderboard associated with it. So, and then they would change seasonally or monthly or whatever their frequency was. But it was just sort of another aspect of the game or sim that you could do when you wanted to get away from the grind that we've talked about. Other updates, messages. You're now going to have a left side menu in the home screen telling you about updates, event notices, things like that.
You know, hold on. Let's talk about the grind really quick. First, I'm going to ask your opinion in a second, but I want your guys' opinion out there about what do you consider this a grind? What do you think about it?
Oh, we're getting in it now.
Yeah, do you want it to be harder? Like, for instance, I just blew by I've got 6 karts here that I'm racing against. I'm already in first in a 3-lap race. You can't adjust the AI in Gran Turismo as far as going through this grind.
Right.
So what would you guys, I mean, that's part of the game. A lot of people have talked about that. That's part of Gran Turismo, is going through the grind and working your way up.
If you really
what do you think about it?
Well, first thing I was going to say, if you think about any chronological type game, they all have a grind. So I mean, I think that's part of that's what we're asking for, honestly, is part of the grind. It's just that with this game, I guess the grind implies that it kind of gets a little monotonous towards the end. What do you want? Less game? You want less events so that you get through the whole game faster? I mean, is that what... See, okay, so I'm obsessive compulsive. I need to get all the trophies, all the stars. If you give me 1,000 events and it takes me 16 months to finish the game, I might call it a grind, and my OCS might make me need to do it. And for others...
OCS? That's obsessive compulsive Sean, by the
way. Versus other people might be able to, oh, I quit halfway through that game, and that's not common when you buy a game for $60. You usually think in terms of completing
Let's get to the heart.
All right, anyway, I'm going to keep going. You go on with the grind. Full-length opening movie, we talked about that. They've done some tweaking
really cool.
Or some design changes, rewards, prices of cars, so some adjustment, that kind of stuff. Other stuff that's going to be coming along. So they've talked about support to the title as well. Cars that are going to be coming along, including... Actually, can you go to the Vision Gran Turismo? Or is it too late? We'll get to that later.
I'm in the middle.
Okay. They're going to have new cars.
Let's talk about some impressions.
You want to move on?
Yeah, let's get to impressions, because we're going to run long here.
All right. Coming off that first hour, we seemed a little unimpressed, it seems. What happened in the minute after the first hour, when we started buying cars that were more fun to drive and getting into events that were more challenging, suddenly the smiles came to our faces. We were having a lot of fun. We were really
getting to
enjoying
stuff like this.
Getting to stuff like this.
Goodwood.
Yeah, getting to open up some of the new events, getting into some of that cool career mode stuff. It really changed things as soon as we got out of that first car.
You know, and people were asking, why didn't you say more about it? You know what? We weren't, you know, based on our embargo, we weren't allowed to give impressions. And we honestly gave a few, and we probably shouldn't have, but they were really based on our, you know, previous experience with Gran Turismo 5. I better get on my horse here. I'm going to lose this race. But yeah, it definitely changed a lot. You know, and another thing, we were rushing through that hour and, you know, trying to get it the most out of it that we could. And people said, oh, you should have done this and you should have done that. Well, you're right. There was a lot of things I wish we could have done in that first hour that we didn't. But, oh well, we've been exploring now. We've been having a lot of fun with it.
Well, I'm going to tell you something else about that first hour that we would have done differently had it been me at home. One great thing about Gran Turismo is your ability to just advance through stuff so quickly. In our notes, they talked about their faster loading times, but it's not just that, it's the ability to get through the menus so quickly just by clicking the button. And honestly, at some point in that beginning stages, I would have been clicking through, but we were kind of doing the long-winded version because we were sort of allowing everybody to do it with us, and that's not the way to go through a first game, I think, when you're presenting it.
No, it's not. And I got a little battle here.
Yeah, you do. This looks pretty fun.
Very fun.
I've yet to run the go-karts.
Let's talk about the feel.
Okay, so you're sitting there at the wheel. You got the T500. What are you feeling?
I'm feeling like I'm going to lose this race.
Oh, you're right there?
Oh, no! Dang it! Oh, I'm going to have to run that again. You know, I've always liked the feel of Gran Turismo. And supposedly there's been some enhancements. You know, it's been so long since I've run it. I mean, Gran Turismo 5 came out 2 years ago, and I've dabbled with it a little since then. There's just been so many things for us coming out that we haven't been able to focus on Gran Turismo 5 and all the patches. I wish I could have. I mean, I played almost through the whole Gran Turismo 5. Yeah. Now, does it feel that much better than 5? I don't recall. I meant to boot up 5, and I honestly haven't had a chance, but I gotta tell you, it feels great. Well, I guess one of the complaints about 5 was you couldn't feel rumple strips. I'm feeling rumple strips.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heavy, heavy wheel sensation. And of course, there's a T500, and it's going to be heavy naturally, but
that's the
it feels
point.
Great
for a console game type sim to be running at really strong force feedback. I mean, I'm really blown away by the amount of tension. More importantly, I'm blown away by the amount of one-to-one feeling in the wheel when I'm driving. So it's got that natural. There's not lag. There's not an input lag that I'm sensing. And I just immediately got in, and I had no calibration time getting comfortable with the wheel.
Okay, I'm trying now. I just went to -1 on the controller sensitivity.
So could you tell at the 2 that you were at?
No, not really. I'm gonna go from +2 to -1. And see if that run the same exact race to see if I can win it now. Focus, because I know if I focus this, I think I can win it.
So another thing we should talk about a little bit is graphics. A lot of the capturing I was doing when I was running was in 720.
All of it. We're now running 1080i, by the way.
And
let's go full screen for them, by the way. While I'm doing this race, we can show them what and I'm not seeing. Thought we were going to see a lot of interlacing. See, I'm already in second with 1080i. But it looks 1080p does look better. But so go ahead, let's talk about the graphics. I think they look amazing.
They are amazing graphics, and that's an area I think they're going to be compared
Except
to
for, I don't like those flickering shadows,
which is sort of reminiscent of the old version of the title as well.
You know what? There's a setting in Gran Turismo where you can turn that. There's a flicker. To adjust the flicker. I turned that on yesterday, and I started having some frame rate issues.
Really?
Got a little, not bad, but it was definitely, I noticed a difference.
So now, and this is an area though, graphics, where it's going to be compared to Forza. Forza going to the next gen system, this one still being on the PS3. I mean, I am not seeing huge advancements in graphics. I mean, to me, visually, it looks very much Gran Turismo 5.
I like some of I think the lighting effects look better. I love that you can run. I mean, if you do a private race, or even as you go through the tour, that there's so many different. Okay, I gotta win this.
All right, why don't we move on to sounds? This is an area I've seen a lot of comments, a lot of talk. Damn it. I've heard there are going to be changes, updates to the sim that would enhance the sounds. Get him! Get him! Get him! Ah!
Man, I can't believe I choked that. Oh well, you know what? I got 20 now. I can do the National A. I got to get some licenses going here.
For me though, looking at Gran Turismo right now, I mean, so far, I think sounds are the Achilles heel of the driving aspect of Gran Turismo.
Yes.
The other aspect of sounds, of course, is the music, in-game music, the bling sounds, the trophies. Great job there, and Darren and I even talked how some of the music in the menus
is more gamey.
Yeah, like Konami or old school,
old school Gran Turismo.
Yeah,
it's got more. I saw a comment. See, that's the thing. I only started playing Gran Turismo on Gran Turismo 4, and I didn't play it that. I honestly want to go back and play it all the way through. To be honest, I want to. I've got all these setups going. I want to set up a PS2 setup with a wheel, like a G25 or a DFGT, and dabble with it on the side. And because people say that's one of the best, and I dabbled with it, and because mainly I was PC sim racing at the time, so I didn't get into it. It wasn't as good, So anyway, that being said, we're not total Gran Turismo aficionados, so there may be some things, but I'd heard or read one of the comments that one of the songs they heard is from old Gran Turismo. So
okay.
it was pretty cool.
So it's a carried over song.
Yeah.
Which, that's something else about Gran Turismo that's so great. I mean, they carry over some old tracks too. So if you're a fan of the lineage of Gran Turismo, there's going to be a bunch of little things that hit home from you from old school Gran Turismo, and I think that's a great aspect as well. You want to go to the Vision?
Oh, sure. Well, I can do National A now.
Okay. So
and one make races are available. So I'm just, and that's what's kind of cool about this grind. As you're going through this grind, I like that it unlocks different things. Speaking of which, like this Vision GT, I don't know if this was unlocked or part of the patch.
Yeah. I don't think we can really call it a grind anymore. I mean, I think that was sort of a comment that sort of went wrong.
I don't consider it a grind.
No.
I consider it part of the game, and
yeah.
I want the game to last. Who wants to pay $50 to $100 on a game and have it end in a day.
Well, and we're already seeing the fun of, oh, I just did this and I won that. Oh, I just did this and I won that. I mean, that is a fun way to play a game.
To me, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if it was part of the patch or day one or what, but...
So this is their new vision aspect of the game, which is coming along. They're going to be adding cars to this throughout time. Vision Gran Turismo, and obviously just really beautiful.
They're like prototypes.
Yeah.
That we all get to drive. I think that's cool. So look at all. What's cool too is you can see like what they have planned. There's a Jordan one. So Michael Jordan is giving his input on a car. On a Nike. There's a Nike one. None of the. Ooh.
Yeah.
Look at that. What's with these big circles?
Very interesting. I think those are wheels. Somehow.
Dude, look at this guy's helmet, man. He looks like Star Wars.
Other things going to keep adding as Darren takes you through this. Community function, course maker. Have the course maker back to it. GPS function, we've talked about that. Apex 2 digital version. Don't know what that is. They're going to have their Ayrton Senna content coming May 1st, 2014.
Yeah, he was part of that that first intro. I'm going to do a little Goodwood while we're talking.
That's something else that's new to the game and a lot of fun. Again, this is something that it opened up after that first hour. So what do you know? We get into an event, we buy a new car, we win a few races, boom. Goodwood opened up, come run here.
I've always wanted to drive a Goodwood. I don't know if Goodwood's on R Factor. It probably is.
Probably.
But, man, now it's on Gran Turismo.
Other things they're talking about.
You know what? I wish, this is one of my gripes. And we haven't had any gripes yet in this. These are first impressions, so we can say whatever we want now. I don't like it. I wish there was I know you turn it off on the car and it's off on the car for good, but I want to turn off traction control across the board. I don't use it.
As a driver setting.
And if I'm missing it, please tell us.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like an idiot.
No, I don't think we are, but like you said, if we are, please tell us, because I'd like to not have to do that. In arcade mode, it won't even remember it by car. Anyway, in-game currency, microtransactions, basically they're going to allow you to buy credit, so if you don't want to go through the grind but you want to drive $1 million car, you'll be able to do so. Improved line.
I saw somebody talking about microtransactions.
The Alpina.
What happened?
Alpina.
Did you see that?
No.
Whoa.
It started you out a car?
Yeah.
I've seen that on a couple.
That was a bug.
Yeah.
We just encountered a bug. Bug.
That was a happening.
That was a happening right there. Oh, I'm seeing a little interlacing. That's from us running interlacing right now. We need to get a new capture card. If anybody knows of a good progressive 1080p capture card that we can get, please let us know.
Anyway, last two tidbits here. Load times, improved load times. We've seen the benefits of that. I love that, especially when you are talking about a very deep many hours of the grind or the chronological career mode. Getting those improved load times just helps the pace and the fun of the game. Online gameplay, so they're adding that. And I mean, basically it comes down to this. Gran Turismo, you've got over 1,000 cars. You've got over 30 tracks, 100 layouts plus layouts.
Yeah, that's a lot of tracks.
And that's just the combination with or without a career mode. So if you're just talking about being a league racer, an online racer, or just a guy who likes to drive all the time, the amount of scenarios you can put yourself into, I don't think can be matched by any other driving game on the planet. No. And that's, to me, what makes Gran Turismo so special and unique.
I forgot about that corner.
So before we get going, I do want to mention or talk one more thing. You know, what's your experience with the whole clutch? You've been driving a little more than I have with that.
I hate
now.
the clutch. The clutch is the same Gran Turismo 5 clutch that's always been. So right now I'm shifting without it.
Well, it's just going to fight you.
I don't like
it. You get no gear at all.
Make sure you calibrate your brake. You know, push that brake all the way in. Hold on, I don't want to miss this turn. Yeah, make sure you push your brake all the way in that first time you run. I can't hear my car. But yeah, you know, more coverage from us coming soon.
Absolutely. You're going to have more driving videos. We're going to do this is really our first look. I mean, we've been waiting for the embargo to be lifted. Wanted to give you some comments. This isn't our review, but we will be working on our review. And like we said, more driving videos, maybe some more tech videos, depending on what we learned about Gran Turismo as more patches and information becomes available. So that is pretty much going to do it. Anything else from you?
Yeah, you know what? We are going to compare it to Forza 5, Forza Motorsport 5. And before you get all worried about it and say, oh, it's a PS3 versus Xbox One, I got to tell you, Gran Turismo 6 is definitely holding up. And I got to run this.
So we've got a fight. We got an even fight coming up, and you're going to have to tune in for that. That'll be coming soon.
For sure. We're going to do a head-to-head shootout, Gran Turismo 6 versus Forza 5. And again, I think it's going to be a great comparison. And you know what? I'm just going to say this too. I love both of them. I literally ran 2 hours or so back-to-back of both of these and had a blast with both last night. So, you know, for those guys out there that are just diehard sim racers and are wondering, well, why are you guys covering this stuff? You know, this is a sim. You know, there's stuff like this with the trophies and all that stuff, but we're also playing a video game here too. So,
well, the argument can be made one of the greatest sims of all time when you consider the amount of cars, tracks, the amount of career mode. I mean, I'm not saying it's the great. I'm just saying it could be put in that class.
Well, it's one of the best-selling or the best-selling game franchise of all time.
There you go. Enough said.
Yeah. So anyway, we're having a great time with it.
Absolutely.
And if you think we didn't enjoy that first hour, we were kind of trying to rush through it. So we've been taking our time with it the next hours and just having a blast. So.
Well, and I think with the new intro, everybody out there will experience it a little bit more enthusiastically than we did, because that really helped. That was part of what Forza had going for it in its first hour.
Yep.
So that's going to do it for this week Inside Sim Racing Gran Turismo 6 Edition. I'm Sean Cole. For Darren Ganji, we'll see you on the track.